The last words I ever spoke to her were, "Okay, I understand." Then I ended the call. No shouting, no tears, no desperate, "Why?" Just those 4 quiet words, followed by a silence so sharp it sliced right through the laughter, still echoing on her end of the line. It wasn't meant to be real, at least. Not to her. That night, she'd gone out with her friends for their usual girls' night, which basically meant overpriced cocktails, shallow pep talks disguised as life advice, and a dozen selfies they'd never actually post online. Instead, I was met with a chorus of giggles. Then came her voice, fake, overly serious, dripping with theatrical flair. "It's over. We're done." More laughter erupted in the background. Someone even chimed in with, "He's going to cry." That was it. That exact moment. She didn't realize it yet, but everything changed right then. I didn't ask, "Is this a joke?" Or "How could you do this?" I didn't demand to know who was there or why she thought this was funny. I didn't beg, plead, or defend myself like I usually would have. I simply said, "Okay, I understand," and hung up. She called back a few minutes later. I didn't answer. She called again. Then her friend texted me, "Come on, Mariel. It was just a joke. Lighten up." I didn't reply because while they were laughing, I was already changing every single lock on the house. That night I moved fast. I didn't sleep. I packed everything that belonged to me. I canceled all her credit cards. I froze our joint bank account. At 2 a.m., I called a realtor friend and uttered 7 words I never imagined I'd say. "How fast can you list a house?" By sunrise, I'd done more damage with a calm, clear mind than I ever could have with blind rage. But the real turning point, the moment no one would ever forget, came the next morning. Her mom called her, voice loud, panicked, bordering on full-blown hysteria. According to a neighbor who overheard everything through an open window, the conversation went something like this. "The house! Chelsea, the house! What did you just let him do to the house?" That's when the laughter finally stopped because suddenly, it wasn't a joke anymore. Chelsea had assumed she could fix everything with a dramatic entrance and a practiced pout. I knew her patterns well. First came denial, pretending it wasn't serious, then guilt-tripping, then playing the victim. She'd rehearsed this script in past arguments like it was a stage performance. But this time, the curtains had already closed, and the spotlight had shifted. By the time she pulled into the driveway still in her party clothes, teetering in heels that made her limp look more theatrical than necessary, the bright red "For Sale" sign was already staked firmly in the front yard. It wasn't subtle. Her name had never been on the deed, "Only Mine." I'd moved faster than she ever thought possible. She stormed up to the front door, yanked the handle, and it didn't budge. The code had been changed. Her key, useless. She tried the garage, same result. When she peered through the front window, her jaw dropped. Half the furniture was gone, not stolen, but removed with purpose and precision. The framed photo from our wedding? Gone. The canvas she'd painted on our first anniversary? Still there, but crooked, with a sticky note slapped across it that read, "Laugh yet?" She stood frozen, phone pressed to her ear. I didn't pick up. She left voicemails. One angry, one shaky, one where she tried to pretend none of it had happened. "Mariel, I mean, come on. You knew it was a joke, right? Like, it wasn't serious." But I didn't respond. Because to her, it was a joke. To me, it was clarity. While she paced the lawn, calling and texting in a panic, her mom pulled up. I watched from the upstairs window of an Airbnb I'd booked hours earlier. Her mom stepped out of the car in slippers, makeup free, panic etched across her face. She gripped Chelsea's shoulders and said something I couldn't hear. Chelsea collapsed onto the front steps, hands covering her face. It was the first time I'd ever seen her cry in public. And I wish I could say it gave me satisfaction. But all I felt was hollow, because deep down, I never wanted revenge. I just wanted her to treat me like a human being. Instead, She turned me into a punchline, so I rewrote the ending. And what came next would make her wish I'd just stayed angry. By Monday morning, she'd sobered up not just from the wine, but from the illusion that she still had any control over our lives. I'd anticipated every excuse, every manipulation tactic, every tearful performance. Chelsea wasn't used to consequences. She was used to cleaning up her messes with charm and eyeliner. But legal documents? That wasn't her strong suit. And that's where I held all the cards. The house was solely in my name, always had been. I'd offered to add her to the deed last year. She'd waved it off, saying, "It's our home, no matter whose name is on the paper." Now, that careless oversight had become her eviction notice. She found the envelope taped to the back gate. Inside, a copy of the property title, the official listing agreement, and a note from my lawyer, short, blunt, legally airtight, with zero drama. Just a cold reminder. She had zero legal claim. Her mother read it first. The color drained from her face. Chelsea, still clinging to denial, shouted things like,
"You can't sell the house without me. This is illegal."
But I knew better. She'd never asked questions when things benefited her. She'd signed joint account permissions, spending cards, even online subscriptions, never bothering to read the fine print. She'd laughed when I suggested a prenup. Well, I got one anyway. Her digital signature was on it, time-stamped, backed up, legally binding. She'd signed it before we were even engaged, buried in a folder of relationship growth documents I'd shared after therapy. I never hid it. I just didn't call it what it was. Now it was protecting me like armor. When she finally realized I wasn't bluffing, that this wasn't a game, she called me 23 times in one day. I let every call go to voicemail. Each message grew more frantic. One began with, "I messed up," and ended with, "Please don't throw it all away." But here's the truth no one tells you. Once someone laughs at your pain in front of an audience, there's no going back. I wasn't throwing anything away. I was finally choosing myself. And soon, she'd realize I hadn't even begun. That weekend, she tried damage control not with me, but with everyone else. Since I wasn't responding, she turned to mutual friends, texting vague lines like, "It was a misunderstanding, he's being dramatic." But screenshots have a way of traveling. And I'd already sent a few to the right people, including the audio recording. What Chelsea didn't know that night was that my phone had automatically saved our call. I'd enabled call recording years ago after a billing dispute with a client and had simply forgotten it was still active. But there it was, her voice on speaker announcing, "It's over," followed by her friends cackling like I was the night's entertainment. I didn't post it online. I didn't need to. I just sent it to 5 people. One of them was Lana, a friend we'd both known since college. Chelsea had confided in her for years, assuming Lana would always take her side. But what Chelsea forgot was that Lana had endured a humiliating divorce after her husband pulled a prank that turned into real abandonment. It wasn't funny then, and it wasn't funny now. Lana didn't reply to Chelsea's message. She forwarded the audio clip to the entire Girls Who Brunch group chat. No caption, no explanation, just "play this." According to another friend who still talks to me, the chat exploded. Tanya, the ringleader of that night's joke, tried to defend it at first, saying something like, "It was just wine and laughs." But several of the women, especially those who'd survived real betrayal, no longer saw the humor. One by one, they left the chat. By Sunday night, Chelsea wasn't just locked out of the house, she was locked out of the social circle she'd leaned on for years. She called me again at midnight. I didn't answer. Then came a text I hadn't expected. "I know I don't deserve forgiveness, but can we talk?" For a moment, I almost said yes. But then I remembered how it felt standing alone in our kitchen, folding her laundry, thinking she was calling because she missed me, only to hear her announce our breakup as a punchline to her friends. She'd had the stage. Now, I had the silence. And I wasn't giving it up yet. I didn't respond. Not because I wanted to hurt her. Honestly, hurting her was never the goal. I just needed space, distance, time to think clearly, without being gaslit into believing I was too sensitive, too needy, or too boring. But then came the moment I knew would break her. It started with a text from her mom. What did you do with her things? That's when it hit Chelsea. The house wasn't just emptied, it was methodically gutted. I'd removed every single item that belonged to her. Every dress, every bottle of overpriced skincare, every photo frame where she smiled like she owned the world. All boxed, labeled, and gone before she ever made it home. But I didn't trash it. I'm not that kind of person. Instead, I rented a climate-controlled storage unit 15 minutes outside of town, packed everything inside, paid for 6 months up front, and changed the passcode to something only I knew. Then I taped a copy of the lease contract inside the mailbox at our old house right beneath a note that read, "This is where your memories live now." She found it within the hour. That same day, I got 3 missed calls from her. Then a fourth this time, a voicemail. Her voice was brittle, like glass barely holding its shape. "You didn't have to do all that," she said. I said I was sorry. "Do you even care anymore?" The truth is, I did care. That's what made it worse. You don't dismantle your entire life overnight for someone you never loved. You don't unravel for someone you didn't believe in. But her apology didn't come quietly, face to face, in the safety of our home. It only came after her reputation cracked, after her mother panicked, after her friends vanished. She wasn't sorry she broke me. She was sorry I didn't stay broken. And that realization was the only reason I didn't text her back. I was done building bridges for people who only crossed them to burn the other side. She turned me into a joke. Now I was writing the punchline and it hadn't even landed yet. 3 days passed in silence. Then, on the 4th morning, I got a notification from the storage unit's app. Motion detected. I'd installed a small security camera inside just to be sure. She showed up around 7:30 a.m., alone, wearing the hoodie I'd given her on our first road trip, the one she used to sleep in, the one she once called her safe place. I watched on my phone as she stood in the doorway, staring at the neat rows of boxes, her own handwriting scrawled across the labels. Asterisk, books, winter clothes, office. Mary Ill's gifts. Asterisk. She didn't move for nearly 10 minutes, just stood there, motionless, as if expecting it all to vanish if she blinked. Then she spotted the envelope. No glitter bomb, no dramatic reveal. Just a plain white envelope tucked between 2 clear bins. On the front, I'd written, asterisk, if you still think it was funny, don't open this. Asterisk. Of course, she opened it. Inside was a single printed photo, a screenshot from my phone. It captured the exact moment she called me. Speakerphone on. Friends laughing, her grinning ear to ear. Her friend Tanya had posted a boomerang of that moment, thinking it would disappear in 24 hours. But someone saved it and sent it to me with the caption, "This is brutal." Chelsea stared at that image frozen in time, laughing as she told me we were over. I watched her on the camera, jaw tightening, hand trembling. She tried to crumple the photo, but stopped halfway. Her shoulders slumped. She slid down against the metal wall and sat there, knees to her chest. I should have felt victorious, but I didn't. I just felt done. Later that night, she messaged me not to beg, but to argue. Asterisk. I didn't know I looked like that. Asterisk. Neither did I. Because when someone shows you who they really are in public, you can't unsee it. It's not about mistakes. We all make them. It's about what you choose to laugh at. And she chose me. Chelsea always underestimated silence. She filled rooms with noise, softened hard truths with jokes, and weaponized laughter when things got too real. But silence? That terrified her. It was the one language she'd never learned to speak. After the storage visit, The messages stopped. For 2 full days, not a single word. I thought maybe we were finally done, not in anger, but in quiet acceptance. But then I got the email. No subject line, no greeting, just a shared Spotify playlist link. I almost deleted it. But something in me, maybe morbid curiosity, maybe old habit, clicked it open. The title read, Asterisk. If you still listen to this, you still matter. Asterisk. It was our old playlist, the one we used on long drives, cooking nights, or when she worked late and needed something to ground her. I'd forgotten it existed. She hadn't. The first song was Asterisk, What Once Was Asterisk by H.E.R. Second, Asterisk, Holocene Asterisk by Bon Iver. Third, the one that gutted me was Asterisk, Half of My Heart Asterisk by John Mayer. Not because of the lyrics, but because I remembered the night we added it. We were sitting in a grocery store parking lot, rain pouring down, laughing about nothing. She had her head on my shoulder, eyes closed, and whispered, Asterisk, I hope I never lose this version of us. Asterisk. But she did. And now, all she could do was send me songs she wasn't brave enough to sing out loud. That night, I sat in my half-empty living room, surrounded by echoes and quiet. I listened to the entire playlist not to forgive her, not even to understand her, but just to remember what it felt like to be chosen before I became entertainment. Then, I did something I hadn't done in years. I opened the Notes app and wrote one line. Asterisk. I still listen, but I don't miss you. I miss who I thought you were. Asterisk. I didn't send it, just saved it. And for the first time in weeks, I slept through the entire night, not because I was over it, but because, for once, she didn't get to decide when the story ended. 2 weeks after she sent that playlist, I received a letter, a real one, handwritten, carefully folded. No return address. Just my name, in her delicate, slanted script, the handwriting I once recognized instantly. Inside was a single page. No long apology. No blame. Just this is greater than asterisk. I wanted to win that night with my friends. I wanted to be the one who had the power. I didn't think you'd leave the stage before the applause. You did. And I finally understand what I cost myself. If there's anything left in your heart, please just know this. I'm not laughing anymore. I hope you are. Asterisk. I sat with those words for a long time, not because I needed to forgive her. I'd already done that quietly, sometime between listing the house and deleting the last voicemail I never listened to. Not out of mercy, but because I couldn't carry her weight anymore. My back was tired. My heart was tired. The next morning, I did something I'd been avoiding for weeks. I opened the last sealed box labeled Asterisk Mariel's Things Bedroom. Asterisk inside was a small collection of items I hadn't realized I'd packed away. A photo strip from our first trip to Nashville, a hotel room key from our anniversary in Monterey, and the old ceramic coffee mug she made me in a pottery class, the one that always leaked from the bottom. I laughed when I saw it. Not bitterly, just honestly. A soft, human kind of laugh. Because maybe some things weren't built to hold everything they promised. Maybe some were just meant to exist for a while, to be appreciated before they cracked. I put the mug on my shelf. Then I stepped outside. The air was cool, and for once, I didn't feel like the world was collapsing inward. I wasn't broken. I was rebuilding. And maybe, just maybe, that was the real punchline. Asterisk, asterisk. What was the most surprising moment in this story for you? Have you ever found strength in walking away quietly? Let us know in the comments below.